Hello and welcome to the rugby discussion. I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and today I have Paul with me. Yes, to be nice and confusing. We are going to be discussing the new initiative around blue cards, which is a follow-up from my sort of refereeing chat last week. Paul is a referee with Auckland Rugby over here and who are trialling this new system. Hi Paul, how are you doing?
Good, thank you, Paul. Yourself?
Yeah, not so bad. So what level of refereeing do you do at Auckland Rugby?
I'm part of the JRC panel. So that's a secondary school rugby, sort of 6th and 7th grade. And then I'll also assistant referee sort of club rugby, so Premier Reserve, women's rugby as well.
Okay. And prior to this, so the whole blue card thing is around concussion and player welfare and managing that all better. Prior to this season and this new trial that's been brought in, what were kind of your guidance on concussion and how to deal with players?
Previously, we were given we'd have a little fold out piece of paper or like a little pamphlet, and we would generally have 5 questions that we could pick from to ask the players. For example, do you know the date? What teams are playing? Who scored last? For example, and if they fail any of those 5 questions, we would generally send them to the sideline to be dealt with by either if they had a team doctor or to be looked at by another medical practitioner.
So is that you're off and you're staying off, or is that you're going off for a head injury assessment style thing that we see in professional rugby?
Yes.
Which one is that? Which one is that? They're off permanently, or it's a head injury assessment?
They would be generally taken off because it would be deemed that if they were to fail any of those, it would be suspected that they had a concussion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would have sent them straight off the pitch,
yep.
and
Yep.
And they couldn't come back on, and obviously a replacement would need to come on and replace them, assuming they hadn't run out of replacements already.
That's correct.
Okay, so very simple 5 questions, and I guess the other thing is here, you don't have a doctor at most games, or even maybe any of the games that you referee. Is it correct?
Secondary school games generally no. There may be some sort of medical expertise at a club game. Some of the premier teams may have not always physio, but they maybe have some sort of other medical team on board. So yeah.
Okay, so there are some of the games you officiate. There is a medical person that can come on and do an assessment, but a lot of the games you officiate, there isn't anyone around who is medically qualified to make a call for the players.
That's correct, yes.
Cool. So how does that all change this year? So obviously we have red and yellow cards, but those are for in discipline. So how does the blue card fit into all of this?
Well, the blue card basically gives the on-field referee the what's the word? I guess the word is the authority to send a player off the field if they're suspected of having a head injury or a concussion. So generally, we might not have to ask the question if we see them staggering. We might not have seen the hit or the tackle that they were involved in, but if we suspect that they're suffering concussion, then we, just like a red or a yellow card, will issue them a blue card, which they are then to leave the field. And depending on the age group that they're playing for, there's either I think it's a 19 or a 21-day stand down, unless medically cleared to return earlier. Okay,
so we'll kind of move on to the post-game stuff in a second. But during the game, so previously you would have asked one of the 5 questions and then send them off. Now you can still ask those 5 questions. You still have those there available to you. But if you have any suspicion at all, you can send them off. But this, instead of it just being a please off the field, there's a card you can actually show so that everyone knows what is going on and why the person's going off.
That is correct, yes.
So the big difference really here from a game day point of view is just around the I guess communication to the rest of the players and the extra vigilance in the fact that you've gone from asking questions to any suspicion at all, and they're off the pitch.
Absolutely, that's absolutely the correct way around it. Just trying to make sure that, you know, if there is even a slight issue of concussion, that we get that guy off the field and, you know, dealt to, you know, so he can return to play when deemed fit.
Okay, so I thought that I wasn't sure whether there was actually. I guess it's just clarifying what was there in place before, rather than having any extra sort of during the gameplay anyway, any extra sort of levels of administration. It's just clarifying really what was there before.
Yeah.
And I guess the other piece then that becomes around this is that previously, I'm not sure whether your match reports would have included if you'd send someone off for a head injury, but now with a blue card, I'm assuming that all blue cards against people are recorded, go back to the union in a similar way that the yellow and red cards do.
Yes, exactly. If a player is issued a blue card, we have end of match reports that we fill out, and if a player is blue carded, we have an online form that we have to fill out so that the union is aware of a player being sent off with a blue card. Yes.
Okay, so the reporting is also going to be improved now, so we know we're going to have a better idea as to how many concussions there are in the leagues, whereas previously you might not have heard about it, or it might not have got reported as clearly, even though I know unions have been pushing for better reporting over the last several years on that side of things. So it formalises that side of things as well. Then you mentioned something about number of days off that comes about if they get a blue card.
Yes. So basically, they've set it up so that they call it a return to play policy. So the player will have to take off 19 to 21 days, depending on their age group that they play. And it's a return to a gradual return to play policy. So it'll be maybe some light gym work first, and then they'll be tested again, and then maybe some light contact training, and then eventually full contact training before they can physically take the field to play again.
Okay, so unlike professional players who can return within 7 days and they can take the return to play protocols straight away, for amateur players, this is something I've read about before, so I'll just pad this out or explain it. The amateur players, depending on their age, have to take so many mandatory days total break from any activities before they're allowed to start the return to play protocols. But they go through the same or similar protocols as the professionals. The reason the professionals come back quicker is because, well, two reasons. One reason is that they have better medical supervision. So in theory, they are being looked after better. But also one of the great feelings about concussion in the past has been it's been hidden when there was a mandatory 2-week or 14-day stand down period. That players would want to get back quicker. So one of the ways they got around that is they shorten the period, but put protocols in place to check and make sure the players are okay to come back. And that's why the professional players come back quicker than the amateur players. I guess the big difference here is that if you suspect a concussion and you give a blue card, that's then recorded as a concussion or as a head injury. And the player has to go through the protocols. Whereas previously, if you just sent them off because you thought it was a head injury, was that recorded, and were people mandatorily having to take that break?
I don't think it was recorded, no. And I guess there was nothing to state that they couldn't come back. You know, if they could say, "Oh, yeah, doc, I'm fine," kind of thing, or said to the coach, "Yeah, mate, I'm fine," and then they play, and then obviously maybe suffer another injury, you know, further down the track. So that reporting system will prevent that, because obviously you might not get the same referee doing the same team 2 weeks in a row. So that referee might not be aware, and otherwise, you know, if a player's been blue carded. So yeah, that will help with that system of trying to prevent players coming back early unless they're medically cleared.
Okay, so they are allowed to go see a doctor and talk to a doctor and get medically cleared to come back sooner, saying, whilst this referee, who is not a medical professional, let's be honest, thought I was knocked out, I'm here to prove to you, doctor, I wasn't, therefore I'm allowed to play quicker.
Absolutely. If they can get medical clearance, and it's still, and even though it's inside that 19 to 21 day stand down, if they get medically cleared by a physician, then they are more than welcome to return.
Okay, that's interesting. So that's good. And what was interesting there was to me also is what kind of stuff are you provided with before a game? Because you said basically, obviously, if a referee isn't refereeing the same team twice, he won't know a blue card's being given. So what kind of information do you get? And this is, I guess, a more general refereeing question. What kind of pack do you provide, or information do you get given before games?
Well, before a game week, or each week, we have access to reports like red card, yellow cards, players suspended. So we'll also have access to a report for the blue cards as well. So we will be aware via online what players have been, if players have been issued a blue card.
Okay, so it's not like you get an email saying, "Hi, you are this week refereeing Ponsonby versus College Rifles. The players for Ponsonby who have red, yellow card or suspensions are X. The players from Ponsonby who are concussed or returning to play are X." And the same again for College Rifles. You don't get like an email like that. You have to actually go and look at a list and check that list out. Is that how it works?
We used to get the yellow card and red card email on a weekly basis. I haven't seen one this season yet, but that's not to say that there's been no red or yellow cards this season. I think they've just changed the online way that you sort of play it. You can check it out by the Auckland Rugby Referees Association. Yeah. Okay,
so the referees have access to that information, but I guess it's the onus is on you as part of your pre-match preparation to go and have a look on these lists to make sure to check out who from your teams have been, whatever status those players are in.
Effectively, yeah.
Okay, cool. Those were kind of the main questions, or the main clarifications around the blue cards. So this is a trial for 1 year, is that correct? For one season for in Auckland?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
And then you'll be...
Auckland's been trialling it. Yeah, this is the first season. There are other unions that have been doing it as well. I think Waikato's been doing it previous to us as well. So, but this is Auckland's first season of trialing it.
Have you used the blue card yet?
I haven't, no. I haven't, I don't know whether I haven't been lucky enough or unlucky enough to issue one yet, but I'm sure it'll happen at some stage.
And how many kind of games a season or games a weekend do you end up refereeing? I mean, are you refereeing every weekend during the season, or how does it work?
I'm not myself. Some of the referees will sometimes do 2 or 3 games a week on a Saturday. They'll do a couple of morning games with secondary school rugby, and then they might go and assistant referee a premier or a club game in the afternoon. So you can do maybe 3 or 4, maybe up to 4 games a weekend, depending on what's happening.
But how many have you been doing generally at the moment?
I've done only 3 this season so far. I've been pretty tied up with my normal job, so I haven't been able to do a lot this season. So yeah.
Okay, and I guess you've been refereeing for a number of years now. So how often did you come across concussed players? Can you think of are there definitely situations in the past where you would have used a blue card if you had it, or is it something that you think you'll never actually get around to using?
I'm just trying to think. Oh, this is my fifth season now as a referee with Auckland. I can maybe only think of maybe 2 games where an absolute blue card would have been issued, where players have sort of gone into a tackle and they've stood up and they've sort of either fallen over straight away or have sort of, as they've got up, they've sort of been all wobbly and just they don't look right. Sometimes players get up and they're a little bit odd after a big tackle, but these guys have got a really wobbly on their feet. So obviously straight away you would have issued a blue card for that. But there's only 2 that I can think of over the 5 years that I've been involved. Yeah, that absolutely would have been definitely a blue card.
And did those 2 players get removed anyway?
They did. They were pulled by the coach because they could see something wasn't quite right, so they were pulled by the coach.
Anyway, okay, so we're not expecting to be a big change, and it's not something you're expecting to use on a regular basis, even though it is there.
No, I wouldn't think it's. I mean, another referee friend of mine's only used his once this whole season, and he pretty much referees every Saturday. So yeah.
Cool. I just wanted, concussion is a big issue at the moment, and also a lot of ex-players have been having issues. So it is interesting to see what new steps are going, and also to hear about it from not at the professional level, but at the more amateur level, because and how it's affecting those, and even as you say, school kid level, where we are definitely very concerned about the long-term future of their health in that. Any other final things you want to say around the concussion side of things, or blue cards?
No, I just think it's probably something that's been a long time coming, these blue cards, and I just maybe kind of wish it had been done, years earlier, but I guess better late than never. And it's finally great that that the rugby union, not just Auckland, but the New Zealand Rugby Union are looking more seriously at these concussions and head injuries that players are getting, and looking at other ways to be able to deal with the problem.
Yeah, no, and I think from memory, I think this is a World Rugby kind of trial initiative that they're looking at doing. I think what's really interesting for me is the power, in some ways, that the referees are getting here. It is quite a responsibility, to talk about people's health and welfare, but you now have the power to sort of step someone down for a couple of weeks, get them away from rugby, whereas previously, whilst you've sort of sent them off for the head injury, there's not been the rigor around the process to make sure the players did stay away and get properly fixed. As you say, it's better late than never. These sort of things we could have seen previously, and I think that's a good thing. What I do want us to make sure we don't do those end up going down the route of where we have the blue cards, the white cards, the red cards, the yellow cards, the rainbow coloured card, the black card, and you end up with so many cards that you kind of forget what they all are, and also you'll have a bulging pocket as you run around the pitch.
Yeah, well, they modified our card holder, because it used to be just a red and yellow card. Now it's got a little fold out, but for the blue card. So it's kind of bulky enough of it as it is in here. So we don't want any more cards to be added just yet, anyway.
Yeah, because we did have the white card a couple of seasons back in Super Rugby, but thankfully that went away. Cool. Thank you very much for taking me through the blue card thing. It's been one of those things that I've kind of heard about and had a vague knowledge of and was aware of, but wasn't really kind of the mechanics of it. I think it's not a big change. It's formalizing something which will hopefully lead to culture change rather than necessarily a usage change, and it's not something we're expecting to see a lot of. So thank you very much, Paul. Paul, why don't you tell people where they can get hold of you and chat? 'Cause I know whilst you are a referee, you're also very active on social media and running Blues fan site as well.
Yep, I'm a admin host manager of Facebook page Blues Supporters for Life. Come and check us out. We've got over 4,000 members, and we're growing all the time. You can also find me on a couple of Twitter handles. I've got at Sporty Paulos, and I've also got the Blues Supporters for Life Twitter handle as well. So come and check us out, and got any questions regarding the blue cards, feel free to find out. You can email me also at bluesrugbyfans@yahoo.com as well.
So if you're an Auckland's, well, I shouldn't say Auckland's Blues, because that's not there, but if you're Auckland's Blues rather than Cardiff Blues, which is just why I'm making the differentiation, fan, then please get onto Facebook and find Blues Supporters for Life. It is a good group. I'm a member of it, and you'll see me in there as well. Also, if you're at Eden Park, over at the East Stand, right at the front, in front of the posts, you'll find Paul and the crowd there with their flags waving and shouting at all the players. So do get down there and join them. Obviously, I'm Paul at DrivingMaul.com or at DrivingMaul on Twitter. Always up for good rugby chat, so do let me know. And if you've got any questions around it, there's a chat below you can join in, or you can get hold of me on Twitter with either about this or also other topics you'd like to see on the rugby discussion. So thank you very much for joining me, and catch you all next time.